There's a new movie about to come out called Goonies, and it's directed by Richard Donner. It has attracted a great deal of advance interest because it is presented by Steven Spielberg. Today we begin a three-part interview with the indefatigable Steven Spielberg via satellite from California. And first of all, I wanted to know, what's a Goonie?
Well, a Goonie is anybody who doesn't belong to the popular crowd. And a Goonie individually might not amount to very much, but when you put 6 or 7 Goonies together, you know, you're playing with matches. And these kids are best friends, and they've been together for, you know, in kid years, perhaps 3 years, which is a long time for kids that age to be together and know each other. And they each possess these unique talents, and when they all get together, they decide to have their last weekend fling or last weekend adventure, which snowballs and becomes what this movie's about.
What do you look for when you interview a young child for a movie?
Energy, a complete, you know, lack of intimidation, a kid who can make me laugh and tell a lot of jokes and be great at video games. I mean,
one of the children is the little Vietnamese boy that you used in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Did you know right away that you wanted him in Goonies?
Yeah, I told Key that we wanted him in Goonies even before anyone else had been, you know, cast. So we actually designed that part. Key came first, and the writing of that role came second.
2 of the children are the children of famous actors. Who are they?
Josh Brolin is the son of James Brolin, and then Sean Astin is the son of Patty Duke and John Astin.
Did that have anything to do with your picking them?
We didn't even know they were related to Patty Duke Astin, and we had no idea that Josh Brolin was Jim Brolin's son until after we wanted them. We found out later. It had nothing to do with, and I really respect the kids for never bringing it up.
Is this a story been kicking around in your mind for a long time? Do you think it has overtones of the Indiana Jones stories? There's a lot of underground chases and rocks that close up secret passages and underground tunnels and all kinds of stuff like that.
Well, I think it really has its roots in the Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain legends, especially the David O. Selznick production of Mark Twain, where Tom and Becky were lost in the cave. They had all sorts of booby traps and escarpments, and Indian Joe climbing up the, you know, the cliff after them with a knife in his teeth. And I think that was the main source of the inspiration for the story Goonies.
Look at this. You see what I found? Guys, please, don't move. Don't move. You guys, don't move back there. Don't move. Lance, please. Guys! Guys, all right, you guys,
How tough is it to make a movie where virtually the entire cast are children?
Well, it's certainly a different problem because most of the day you have to remember the cast is in school. We only have the kids on the set 4 hours out of an often 12-hour day. That's all the time they're allowed to work. So you really don't have the kids around that much. Somehow they're always underfoot, but they're not where you want them on the set on their marks. And that was a problem for Donner, who really had a very large palette to work off of. He had a lot of colors to paint with, but he didn't have the essential primary colors most of the day, and he had to work around that. That was a real challenge, I think, that Dick succeeded in pulling off.
Now, Goonies is a film presented by Steven Spielberg, but it is directed by Richard Donner.
Right.
Why did you pick him for this assignment?
Well, because I think Donner's a big kid. I've known Dick for a long time, and I think he's just a big boy, and I thought he'd be great for it. I'm a big fan of his movies, especially the first Superman that he directed.
If he shoots something that you're not pleased with, can you overrule him?
No, I wouldn't. How would I feel if somebody overruled me? I would hate that. And I think part of the luxury of working with my organization is that we don't like to overrule the directors. If the directors really feel something, they're impassioned about something, then it's up to them to, it's their responsibility to see that passion through. Although I'll get blamed for it. If nobody likes it, I'll be the one to get blamed for it. But that's pretty much the risk that I take, and I think it's very important to leave the director alone and let him make his movie.
When you were a schoolboy in grammar school and high school, you were already dreaming fantasies and stories. Did you ever dream during school hours?
Daydream? I mean, just sit
Yes.
around the schoolroom and zone out staring at the blackboard and not seeing what's written on it?
Yes.
Yeah, all the time. About 4 days a week, because I always was very careful to be absent one of those 5 days. Yeah.
You were not a straight A student in school, Stephen?
I was a straight student at school. I got straight C's, actually. Straight C's, C minuses sometimes. But no, I was not a straight A, no.
There is no movie maker in Hollywood who is busier or more productive or more highly acclaimed than is Steven Spielberg, who has movies ready for release and plenty in production, including his presentation of Goonies, a Richard Donner-directed movie about to open right now. I began today's conversation with Steven Spielberg from California by asking him if the GP-13 rating will change the way directors make movies.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with the way movies are made or the way audiences perceive the films. I think it has made a difference in homes where parents have some control over their children, and PG-13, you know, is not for kids to determine whether they're old or young enough to see movies. It's a guide for the parents, just like the original intention of PG. What will probably happen is PG-13 will replace PG, and PG will become what G used to be. That's a possibility.
And G will stand for gone.
And G will stand for it doesn't exist anymore. That's a possibility. I think all films should have parental guidance. I think Snow White, which is rated G, has some of the scariest sequences I've ever seen in a movie.
The forest scene when all the branches reach out as if they're hands and are grabbing her at night.
I was very influenced by that particular sequence when I did the scene in Poltergeist where the tree comes through the bedroom window and tries to swallow the kid. In Snow White, when the trees are reaching out and grabbing at her with faces and mouths and trying to ingest her and trying to hug her and grab her and tearing her clothes is absolutely frightening. I think the transition with the hag, with the Wicked Queen to the hag, is one of the most frightening things I've ever seen. And I think Bambi, which has a G rating, the sequence where the mother is killed, although you don't see it on camera, but when the father turns to little Bambi and says, "Your mother won't be coming home anymore," it's devastating. It really is. It devastated me when I was 7, 8 years old and saw it for the first time. The G rating, I think all films shouldn't have the PG, but all films parents should be aware of, and real smart parents should screen first if they have kids that like to stay up all night screaming in the dark, you know.
You've got Goonies coming out right now. You've got Back to the Future coming out in July. I understand E.T. is going to be re-released this summer. Is that correct?
That's right. That's correct. July the 12th.
And then you're going to make Peter Pan a musical, your first musical, and you're going to have amazing stories on NBC television every week, and you're discovering new talent, and you're looking at student projects, and you're going to be a father. How do you spend your time, Spielberg? What I want to know is, what do you do in your spare time?
You've convinced me, Gene. Thank you for this interview. I retire. I'm going to be like George Lucas. I retire. This is too much. It's too much. Right.
How do you do it, though, really? You are accomplishing an extraordinary amount of work.
Well, I don't think I'm going to do this much longer. I really mean that. I made a bet with myself that I wanted to get into a small production company. I wanted to, you know, form a small production company and try my hand at this for like 18 months. And I've done it for 18 months. We have 5 films that are coming out this year. One of them is, you know, is E.T. the reissue. But we've actually had 4 physical productions coming out. And it's just too darn much. And this is the last year I'm going to dabble in with this sort of a workload in producing. I love directing. That's really what I do best, and that's what I want to continue to do. And I'm going to do as much directing as I possibly can, but not as much producing as I have been doing. It's just a little too hard in the family. And I have a baby on the way that by the time I think that we air, I have a baby on the way, and the child is going to change my life. It already has in a way. I want to be like, I work from 9 o'clock in the morning to about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And when I drive home, there's no traffic. I want to be like most parents. I want to drive home in bumper-to-bumper commuter traffic, which means I got to leave the office by 5:30 to hit the peak traffic hours.
So is this, are we listening to a retirement speech here of Steven Spielberg?
It's not like Muhammad Ali, but you're listening to somebody who's saying that I tried it 1 year. We've got some real great movies coming out. I'm really happy we did the films, but it's just too much work.
What sort of feelings of anticipation and gratification do you have out of the birth of your child, Stephen? Are you elated? Are you nervous about it, or what?
I'm not nervous about it at all, no. I just think it's the best thing that's ever happened to me and to Amy. We really can't wait for this, and it's right around the corner. All my friends seem to be having children at the same time. It's rather amazing. This baby boom has really exploded.
Have you thought of names for your child yet?
Yeah, we have 2 names, if it's twins or if it's a boy and a girl. If it's a boy, it'll be Max, and if it's a girl, it'll be Sophie.
Great.
Max and Sophie.
And if it's twins, it'll be both.
If it's 2 boys and 2 girls, we're in big trouble. We have to caucus about that.
Steven Spielberg is presenting 2 new movies this summer. Goonies, directed by Richard Donner, and Back to the Future, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Spielberg has been in love with movies since his earliest childhood. He saw his first picture when he was 5. It was The Greatest Show on Earth, and he was disappointed. So Gene Shalit asked Spielberg if the second picture he saw had influenced his career.
The second movie I saw that I remember vividly was Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
So Disney has played a big part in your life, hasn't he? Disney?
Yeah, yes, he has, absolutely. I think he's played a big part in everybody's life. I don't know anybody who, in one way or one form or another, subliminally absorbed all of the Disney, magic over the years.
There was talk that in Close Encounters, which is one of my favorite all-time films, you thought of using When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio as the music in that movie. Is that true?
Yes. I actually took that version of Close Encounters to preview, and I tried it out on an audience. I did it once with that song in and once with that song out.
And you liked it out?
I liked it out because I think that everybody felt that the song essentially turned a reality into a fantasy. And what was important to me in Close Encounters was that sort of juxtaposition of this is really happening with I wish this really were happening. It was that fine line between it's happening and it's not happening, and I felt that the song really made a statement that this was all a fantasy, which is not the statement that I thought was proper for Close Encounters.
When you originally conceived of Close Encounters, did you conceive of the idea of a musical interchange between the people from space and the people on Earth?
That was one of my first ideas, to have a musical tonal exchange as opposed to the kind of cliche, take me to your leader. I just thought music is mathematics, and the universe is about mathematics, and I thought because I flunked math in school but got an A in music, it'd be much better, much safer for me with Johnny Williams to collaborate on a musical exchange.
How close did you two collaborate on that music, and how difficult was it for you before you came up with the final musical notation?
Well, John and I collaborated on it immediately, and it might seem really easy to find 5 tones. You get the composer who's as brilliant as Williams to sit at the piano and hit 5 notes, but it wasn't that easy. He went through almost 1,500 permutations of those 5 notes. When you hit any 5 notes, you've watched Name That Tune, 5 notes make a tune, and we didn't want to make a tune. We wanted it to be an incomplete musical statement, something that would beg for a reply from the other side. And every time we liked a song on the piano, it seemed to be a complete thought, a complete musical thought. So we went back until we found something that sort of begged a response.
You care a lot about giving people starts, don't you? I mean, it seems to be almost something that you do consciously. You seek out new talent and you try to give people a break. Lawrence Kasdan, who has become a well-known director now, got his start with you.
Bob Zemeckis was somebody else,
Now, Bob Zemeckis did Romance of the Stone.
That's correct.
But how did you come to him?
He came to me with a student film out of USC in 1976 called Field of Honor, which I absolutely adored. And I got Bob a shot directing his own script, I Want to Hold Your Hand, in 1977 through Universal. And then Bob and I have, Bob's done, he did Used Cars with me. And then most recently, Back to the Future.
Now, Back to the Future is a film That is going to come out this summer?
In July, yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that story? Because I think it's a fascinating story.
Well, Bob and I have always been fascinated with time travel, and yet not time travel that's as dramatic as Rod Taylor's trip back to the Eloy and Murlocs from The Time Machine, the old MGM film. A time travel that really is a little more in the humorous vein. And Bob has had a story for a number of years, which I've always adored, and I talked him into making it this year, called Back to the Future, about a young man played by Michael Fox, who by some happen chance goes back 30 years and meets his mother and father at his same age. They're both they're all 16 years old, and they're all in high school.
So this is 1955.
They go back to 55, and the mother is the most popular girl at school, and the father is the nerdiest kid in school. And he realizes, my God, unless I can get my mom and dad to meet and fall in love, I'm going to start fading out. I will not exist. And he has to put his parents together, and it's very funny.
Back to the Future opens next month. Goonies opens nationwide today.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC, or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.